So strategic empathy is a very powerful tool when we need to make decisions in complex situations. And I want to show you an example of some scenarios that we've used in the past and a scenario that might give you a sense of why strategic empathy is so powerful when making decisions. So here's the situation. You work for a large credit card company, and your job is to run the contact center, the call center who talks to all of your clients inbound and outbound every day. Now, unfortunately for your team, there's been severe flooding, very bad flooding across a large portion of your area and where you operate, and a number of your customers have almost certainly been impacted. Now, you come together as a leadership team, and your objective at this leadership team meeting is to work out how you'll respond. What will you do? In that meeting, one of your colleagues, Sam, says, I think what we should do is call every single one of our customers and make sure they're okay. Contact all of them, make these phone calls. We think it's going to be a great way to talk to our clients, to understand their needs, make sure they're okay, maybe even help them with some additional funding, finance, if they need it, if they're in a tough spot. Now, you obviously run the contact center team, so you have to decide, what are you going to do next? And initially, let me give you three simple options. Your first option is, let's prioritize these calls. Right? Stop other activity in your team. Let's make these calls as soon as possible. The second option here, as you can see, is to agree to make calls, but only a small number a week. We're going to work through it over time. We'll sort of half do it. We'll hopefully get to everyone over a period. The third option is actually, look, we're going to refuse to make phone calls. Sorry, Sam, no calls. We've got too much on at the moment, and we're not going to make any calls. So have a quick think about these. Which one of these three would you choose? Okay, so you might have picked now which of those three you think you would go with and how you'd go about this. Now, let's take this through a bit of a question and answer, and let's show you a little bit around how strategic empathy can help you in this decision-making process. So firstly, let's explore, what would this feel like from a customer perspective? You're a customer, you've got a credit card, you might use it a bit, you might use it a lot, who knows? Suddenly, you're trying to deal with your flooded house, your insurance company, trying to find somewhere to live, make sure your friends and family are safe, and you get a phone call out of the blue from your credit card company. And they're asking you about your credit card, trying to sell you more credit cards. Who knows? Maybe this would be helpful to you, maybe it wouldn't. Do we consider the customer's perspective and how they would feel? What about your employee's perspective? Here's your people who are used to taking calls and talking to people about their credit cards. Now they're being asked to do outbound calls to talk to people who are probably going through some pretty tough times. What's the impact going to be on them? Will it impact on their performance, their mental health? What might be the ramifications for your people, and do they have the resources and time to do this on top of their existing work? What about the social perspective? How might this be perceived in the media, for example? That here's this company that during a crisis has decided they're going to call these customers and try to sell them additional credit cards. Now, you might say, well, that's not what we're doing. We want to help our customers. And as we know, the media are more than happy to spin the story to make sure it makes you to be the good guy. And they would never write a story that makes you sound bad, would they? What about from a shareholder perspective? We're deploying these resources, and what's the return on investment here? Is this a good return on investment? Are we actually going to support our people in a way that's going to help retain customers, or are we just spending money for the sake of looking good in this situation? And finally, what about Sam's perspective? How do you reply? What do you say? And just a little question. In your mind, I want you to picture it, the boardroom, you're sitting around, there's Sam across the table who's made this comment, you're about to respond. Before you do, just answer me. Is Sam a man or a woman? The idea of these perspective takings and this use of strategic empathy is to make sure that we're considering the assumptions we've made before we go ahead and make our decisions. We need to understand what are all these different perspectives, because when you make a decision, you impact these stakeholders. And this is why strategic empathy is a powerful tool for really successful decision making.